it's me, Renee. I'm back. So today I'm here for my November wrap-up. Wrap-up. Still so fun to say wrap-up. Yeah, I'm being silly. Sorry. Let's get to it. So as usual, as I've been doing for the last few months, I won't be well, I won't be including the books I read for readathons in this wrap-up. Instead, I'll include a video or link the video to the Gilmoreathon readathon wrap-up down below. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, so now you're probably curious, like, okay, what did you read in November? I suppose you might already have a slight idea from my TBR and stuff, but yeah, here is what I actually read. So I'm gonna start with the one I finished last. Finished this one on Monday, so the last day of November. I was about to say December. Last day of November. It was a 5-star. It was written by Alyssa Cole. I hope divided. It was so good. I highly enjoyed it. I suppose not that surprising, really. No, because I loved An Extraordinary Union. But yeah, I really love this one as well. It's you don't really see the same characters. Well, you can see hints to the same characters now and then, and you meet one of the same characters from An Extraordinary Union. But yeah, you don't really need in companion books. You don't really need the books from the other books, the characters from the other books, because often the characters in themselves are so interesting. And I really love this setting with a woman that's half white, half black, and she's half white from a rich family. So so the beginning of her life, from she's 0 till she's like 10, 10 or 8, I think maybe 8, not quite sure, around there. She lives with her mom, and then her aunt, her sister, her sister comes and just like, okay, do you want to live with me now? I don't really understand why it's them. I suppose slightly because her dad is died, and then she can live with her. I suppose because her sister has more power now, and yeah, so she said like, you want to live with me? She gets to live with her, though, because she's half black. Well, because she's black. Sorry, half black. I mean black. Because she's black, when there's some visitors, she can't eat with her sister. So there's still some stigma here and there. And yeah, and it's not easy to really still, like, she gets phrases, slurs thrown at her behind her back and stuff. So yeah. And then a civil war happens. And yeah, and also she has a brother that is married to a nightmare of a southerner. She's just so southerner. She loves racism and stuff like that, and it baffles me. Of course, she has the more money than her brother has, so she has the most power. And she welcomes a Confederacy soldier into their home. So yeah, that's nice. And then yeah, there's also this love story of she's called Molly. And there's also this love story of Molly and Evan. Evan, who's escaped Union spy from a words from prison. It's been a long time since I've forgotten something. So yeah, but yeah, from a prison. And yeah, Molly, she ends up having to hide. Let's say hidden. She ends up having to hide Evan in her quarters, and then they kind of yeah they kind of start sending messages to each other. So it's kind of like uh love story starting with letters. So it's very endearing to that, and yeah, just I really love it. Also, it's not really on paper, I suppose, slightly because it's not really anyone in the story can do it. It's not really like any doctors relevant to the story. But I'm pretty sure Evan either is on the spectrum, has from autism, or maybe MDL. Sorry, MDL, like me. If you haven't seen my autism and books tag, uh, I have NDL, which stands for non-verbal learning disorder, and sorry, sorry. Characteristics of it or symptoms of it is that you don't understand body language, you don't understand sub, uh, subtlety in the world and language and stuff, and so you might not understand sarcasm all the time or irony. Like, yeah, subtle stuff like that is difficult, and you might be direct. You might not really understand what's the point with like societal rules and stuff like that. And UN definitely has like certain parts now where like he's direct, but it's not rudeness. It's simply how it is. He doesn't understand the point of being caught and doing stuff for other ones when like why can't you just be direct and honest? And so yeah, like that. And so yeah, I very much recognize a lot of myself in UN. I asked Alyssa on Goodreads if that's how it was meant to be. She hasn't responded to me yet because she's probably busy. But yeah, uh, uh, if it's accident or on purpose, I don't know. But still, like I related to a lot of him, and I found it very fun to like see a character like that in a historical book. So yeah, that's a big plus for me. In addition to all the other stuff, it's a political book, so yes, quotability. It has the romance, steaminess. It has great messages, but also like yeah, it has great characters. Everything. I just say, I hope divided. Read it, read it, read it. And yeah, as always, I suppose I would love to see this also adapted, as you probably might know from my Shondaland, Grimes daydreaming video a few weeks back. And yeah, let's move on. I have other books to talk about. So yeah, the month ended very well because I gave it, I would say, I'm gonna say it again, 5 stars. Loved it very, very, very much. But yeah. Then where I'm gonna go now? You know what? I'm gonna go here. So I also read På gyngende grunn and Reiste med hurtigruta. As you probably see, and I've noticed, it's Norwegian book. In Norwegian, written in Norwegian, so it's not translated. It's written by Ola Bremnes. He's actually a famous Norwegian folk singer. And so this book, it's the name is like a journey on the coastal boats. Pretty sure that's English name for it. Okay, there's this boat that's very famous in Norway. I suppose also might be famous other places as well because that's been it's actually been named several times the most beautiful boat journey in the whole world. So it goes on the coast of Norway from the south to the very north, and so it both stops ports docks. It docks in big towns and smaller towns, and so yeah, and every time it stops docks, uh, it docks for a few hours at least, so you always get some time to see the city. And yeah, so this one at first I thought so. Sorry, maybe it's not obvious. It's nonfiction, so yeah, it worked for nonfiction November. So this one first I thought was like supposed to be more about the boat. Okay, so the idea is the concept around this book is that character, the author, he takes the boat the whole journey from Bergen, where it starts, all the way to Kirkenes. And so I thought like it was gonna be about like the boats and like maybe about the different boats and stuff like that. And it is about the boat. He introduced the captain, he introduced most of the people on the boat, like both the workers, uh, the workers and his fellow passengers. But he also talks about sorry, he also talks about the cities they visit and like gives you some input to cities. So I suppose in a way it's both a story about the boat, but also about the places in Norway. And sometimes it's like, okay, so this place, for a long time, it was a place where they had a lot of fish, and then it talks a lot about the fishing industry there. So like, it's both history non-fiction about the boat, but it's also more specific about different industries and different people and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say it's very, very interesting. Very much enjoyed it. It came out last year, so I'm pretty sure it's not out in other languages yet. I suppose you might say, why would it be? Because like it's very specifically Norwegian. Well, it's not. I think if someone wrote, sorry, if someone translated it to English, I think people would like to read it because it's very interesting. It's written in a good way. It's like, yeah, it's a very fun way of learning about Norway Norway. So I don't really think you need to be Norwegian to be interested in this one, though I might be wrong here. But yeah, also like as I said, it's not written by a academician. It's not like written by a man who's an expert in history or in a boat. He likes the boat. He likes history. He likes Norway, but he doesn't really have a degree in it. And so I would say like that's kind of like what I kind of interested. I noticed soon like a chef. Yeah, also it's very fun drawings throughout the book. I very much enjoyed it. And yeah, so there's the chapters. It's not like I suppose slightly because of that it's not written by an expert. Well, he's not an expert. He doesn't really use big words. He uses everyday words all the time. It's very easy to read. It's not like heavy words or written difficult. It's like often a paragraph could like be very small and it's all. I would say like I enjoyed all this. Like I'd say maybe in a way it's kind of like sitting with a friend and talking with a friend. Very accessible and very down to earth, and you didn't have to ask to go to toilets and check no Boats for Dummies book because he talked about it so easily and so understandably. And yeah, and also I didn't say it, but also actually instead of having chapters, so he had and has he has titles now and then, but like there's a new theme, but there's no you see sorry there's no title, there's no wait, there's no chapter number here. So actually, in theory, it's actually not chapters because sometimes you can actually see. I can't find now. But yeah, sometimes it's like a page with like about a king that was in Bergen, and then the next page is something else. So not all the chapters are the same length really. So that way it was really fun, and it's not I suppose it's not chapters per se because it's not numbered, and also like there's no index at the beginning where it says like chapter 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. So I suppose in that way, yeah, it's quite fun really. And also, as you see here, beautiful, beautiful hardcover, illustrated on the cover. And then you see also here, so beautiful, the Atlantic Sea and the boat, coastal boats, Ola, the author, and then you have an illustrator. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. I suppose I could recommend it like if you for some reason found it someplace, if you sometimes go to Norway, if you have someone you know in Norway at the moment, you could ask them to give it to you simply because the beautiful, beautiful artwork. And I suppose also like you could Google translate the text. Or like if you in the future or if you just collect books in different languages, it's a beautiful, beautiful book, as I just said. Or if you want to learn Norwegian, if you are Norwegian, yeah, it's a very easily read book. It's not that difficult to read, as I said, and it's just very, very interesting. So yeah, highly, highly recommend it if you're in the possibility, in the range for this. If it's something to your taste and to your style. Yeah, so that's that. And then I'm gonna go with a book that's. So, who put this song on? A moment. By Morgan Parker. Sorry. There. So I DNF this book. I got like I think maybe like 100, maybe like 200 pages in. I wasn't hating it, but I wasn't loving it. And at this point in my reading life, I'm not really gonna use time with books that I'm not loving or like very, very much enjoying. I'm not gonna do that. And yeah, this one I found like I liked the concept of it. Obviously, why else would I buy it? But like the story itself, it wasn't like okay. So there's a blurb here that says irreverent, laugh out loud, funny, and heartbreakingly honest. I suppose it could have been heartbreakingly honest. It was funny now and then. It wasn't, at least to me, it wasn't that funny. I suppose humor it's subjective, so that's that really. And yeah, it's slightly pitched in a way as like the hate you give, like there's a black teen who's in like a world of white teens, though it's not that heavy. It's more like well, she has mental issues, so there's that. But yeah, I suppose I couldn't just really relate. I just yeah, I suppose also like I didn't really like the narration. Like I didn't really like the writing style of the book, and it doesn't really matter if you like the characters or not. But if you can't jive with the writing style, it's not gonna work. I suppose sometimes, a few times at least for me, a few times you might get used to that writing style. For me, most of the time, if I don't like a writing style, I won't get used to it. So yeah, I do enough for this one. So this is going to charity. Then, sorry, I read Most Likely by Sarah Watson. So was actually a buddy read from people on for people with people on Goodreads. But yeah, it's a contemporary. Actually, I also saw on Goodreads that it's the first in a series. I don't really see how that's supposed to happen. I suppose it could be a companion series. Could also be Goodreads being weird because sometimes they label stuff series when it's not. I don't know. The second book doesn't really have any blub or anything, so I'm in the dark. But yeah, so this book it's about these four friends. It's about Ava, CJ, Jordan, and Martha. Ava is an artist. CJ is mm, uh, she's good at life, but she can't really exams. She's always failing her exams. She needs higher SATs. Jordan is a wannabe journalist, and Martha yeah has a lot of obstacles in a way. I suppose I was kind of just reading from back here, but yeah. So yeah, it's about these friends. It's their last year in high school, and also like there's a prologue that says kind of like one of these people four become the first female president in the United States. So like the prologue, it's set well, as you kind of obviously know, it's set in the future. It's set in 2049, so that's kind of like I mean, it's cool the concept of because like the concept is that you can't supposed to like guess which of the friends is this person, but then again, it's like well, so this author is just saying that there will be no female president before 2049 in the states. That's kind of depressing. Though I suppose the states aren't all that time that logical and that hopeful. So I suppose that might happen. I mean, or maybe Kamala becomes could be. But yeah, hopefully something happens before that time. But then again, like I suppose 2049 it's not that far into the future, 20 more years. But yeah. So this book it's about a year in the life. It's told from all their point of views. It's about them finding love, about them struggling with school, with family. They all have stuff to struggle with, but also nice female friendship. And yeah, I highly, highly enjoyed this one. I'm not sure if I give it 5 or 4, but yeah, very much enjoyed it. It's the first book by Sarah Watson, but she's actually not that unknown, or yeah, she's not that unknown. She's used to writing because she writes for the bold type. that TV series. I'll link it down below. And yeah, this book, very good. Very much enjoyed it. I think I really like 1 or 2 days settings. So yeah, it's a very good book if you want something interesting but like fast paced. Alright. And then I read Darius the Great is Not Okay by Adib Khorram. So this is about a Iranian American. He is so his mom is Iranian. His mom is his mom is Iranian. His dad is white American. It's not really. I don't really think it's really got into like what his dad is, but it's his dad isn't American. So I'm sorry, isn't American. Isn't Iranian American. So yeah. Um. He talks to his Iranian family now and then on Skype, but he doesn't really speak Farsi, Kurdi, Persian. Let me check. Farsi, yeah, Farsi. You know, because some places in the world, a lot of places in the world actually, they have lots of different languages, not just one. So yeah, can have to be correct there. But yeah, he doesn't speak Farsi himself, so he doesn't really feel confident to talk to his grandparents. But yeah, he just talks to them now and then because they do know English. And yeah, so in this book, it's him going to Iran for summer, and kind of getting to know his family and his Iranian side and Iranian culture and stuff like that. And also kind of like him getting to know actually more his dad because kind of been a bit off and yeah, become a bit more become a bit more they bond a bit more during this book. And yeah, so yeah, this book I heard great things about it. You see in the back, there's lots of praise on it, and then if you see in the front, lots of praise on it, in it. So yeah, naturally, I had high hopes for this one. I also had to read it for the Jewish, yeah, for the Jewish. That was this fall, it didn't, but yeah. And a lot of people, like when I said like I was supposed to want to read this, they said like, "Oh, it's so good." So yeah, I had high hopes for this one. In the beginning, I really enjoyed it, and after a while, I was like, "It's a book." It wasn't bad. But I think I had too high hopes for it really because I didn't love it, and I can't really say it's bad in that or that and that way. I just didn't love it. I suppose also because like I think I expected to laugh much more. I didn't laugh that much, and yeah, it wasn't that funny in my mind. But again, I suppose humor is a subjective, so I suppose like saying a book is the best you'll ever read in life or anyone will laugh till I die. Kind of like, well, humor is subjective, so you can't really say that because that's probably not gonna happen. So yeah, sadly, this one disappointed me. Yeah, sadly. You can't. You might ask yourself why. Again, I can't really say why because it was interesting characters, interesting setting, interesting this and that, but I don't know, it just fell flat for me. I think I simply had too high hopes for it. So, yeah. Sorry. Then, sorry. I also read Women in Power in Norwegian, Kvinneromakt. I found it in my own bookstore, so I got it half price. Yeah, so this is a collection of two lectures that Mary Beard, she's a very famous British historian, that yeah she had did two lectures and she decided to combine them in a book. Okay, so they're both like about women and power, I suppose, in the name really. And it's not long, so I suppose that's something that's good for it. It is a perk. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I think like I would enjoyed more if like I had listened to it if I actually been in a room listening to her in the lecture because I don't know. I felt something was missing. Maybe I needed more pictures, though there were pictures here and there in the book. I don't know. I felt something was missing. Yeah, honestly, I felt something was missing. If maybe it was maybe too short, maybe like maybe you needed to like listen to the whole sequence of lectures, not just one of this, because this probably like I suppose this probably is like one of many lectures she does because she just live off being a lecturer in addition to like writing books, getting money from it. I think she's primarily a lecturer still. Maybe she's now only writing books. I'm not sure. But yeah, what I'm trying to say, I didn't love it. Then again, I didn't hate. I think this one I can't give 4 stars. I'm pretty sure because I very much enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. Yeah, I felt something was missing. I felt like maybe if it's been longer, if maybe she's added a forward explanation to all that. Yeah. I do know maybe Bit has written other books that's like she's written as books. I kind of want to read those because yeah, she's a historian focusing on ancient times, and that interests me. So yeah, I kind of want to read more by her. But this, as a first read by her, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. So yeah, as I said, I'm not gonna give it up, but yeah, it wasn't a perfect first meeting with her. So yeah, then yeah, yeah. Um, so I also read the last interview and audio interviews by James Baldwin. So because of this year, Black Lives Matter, because of sorry, because of George, let's say Orwell, George, my God, forgetting his name, George Michael, not George Michael. Yeah, I should not. I'm gonna check out his name. Give me a moment. Breonna Taylor, and because of George Taylor. George Taylor? No, I'm gonna check it out. Give me a moment. Actually, remember, actually, I have it written down here. Okay, because of Jacob Blake, because of George. No, you know what? What I have written it down here. Give me one moment. You know what? I'm just gonna send you on pause. Yeah, I'm back. I kind of clicked on the wrong buttons, but yeah. Because of George Floyd, the tragic death of George Floyd, Jacob Black, Breonna Taylor, a lots more this year and other years. But yeah, um, I was more focused on reading black nonfiction this year, and I found uh, James Baldwin has seems to be have been like a big deal in like the African American community for a long time. Well, he's dead now, but for many years he was like a big deal. He was both a writer but also like a debater and stuff. Yeah, so we both wrote fiction, non-fiction. So this is a collection of interviews. It's a big book. So yeah, sadly, well, I suppose I didn't DNF it. I didn't read the whole book. Is that DNFing when it's an anthology when it's a mixing of stuff? I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So what happened was that like I started with good intentions. Well, of course I did. But the thing is, quickly I realized, like in the first interview, I realized like he's referring to so many stuff that I have no idea about. Like me as a Norwegian, I haven't studied America. I haven't studied African Americans. I haven't gone to school in States, anything like that. So I don't really have that much of a background to like know that much about all this stuff. Like yes, we learned some stuff in Norwegian school in middle grade. I think I think mostly like we learn about Rosa Parks, we learn about segregation, like we learn very basics. Like for example, Harry Tubman, I didn't know about before like 2, 3 years ago. So a lot of that stuff is new to me, and I would say like also like a lot of this stuff, as I said in this interview, was new to me. It's like it was kind of like yeah, it was in English, but kind of felt like it was in Klingon because there was so many references to to re- people and uh, to events that I had no idea what they were talking about. Like, what is that? What is that? What is that? I suppose I could have Googled, but then I have to Google all the time. I don't know. It's just kind of reading nonfiction. Obviously, kind of will learn more about stuff, but like at least for me, I kind of want to read nonfiction about something that I already know something about, or like that's kind of if not, then it's kind of explained. Here, it was interview. I think it's supposedly probably like mainly like it was targeted towards people who already knew about this stuff. The situation it was interviews, so like it was targeted towards Americans, people who knew this stuff. I didn't, and so yeah, yeah. This book is just it's just the books. It's just the interviews transcribed. It's not like explanation here and there. Like in the beginning, it's like interview between this and this person in that and that year. That's it. So yeah, felt so lost reading this book. So yeah, I kind of still want to give like his fiction a try. I suppose I might read his other non-fiction. But yeah, this interview I suppose probably interviews aren't that big of a smart of a place to start. So yeah, so yeah, yep. James Baldwin, he does seem like I have seen some clips on him on YouTube. Like from what I read here, he just seems like be a very smart guy. Albeit he's dead now, sadly. But yeah, yeah. And then I was supposed to say last, not last, but one of the last ones is last physical ones. Another nonfiction. I did read some nonfiction this month. Not all that I wanted, but I did read some. And this one is another Norwegian one. It's called Ny Grunnlov by Are Kalve. Yeah, Are in Norwegian R is it's actually a first name. So yeah, it's a bit sad if you're called Are and you go into English country because like I'm R. Like what? And I'm no, it's his name. But yeah, so this was actually written in 2014, and well, sorry, Grunnlov is Norwegian name for constitution, and in 2014 we have our anniversary for the constitution. It was made in 1814, so it was 200 years since we got it. Here in Norway, yeah, yes. So because of that, we have lots of different books and TV series and documentaries and etc. 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 And yeah, so this comedian, though he's also an author, but I suppose it's mainly a comedian who writes sometimes, decided to make a new constitution for like the new era and then for the next 200 years. So yeah, this is kind of like him going over the old constitution, like looking at what works, what doesn't work, and trying to make a constitution that can work for a long time in the future. Because like the world has changed now, like now in only 5 years and only 10 years in 100 years. It's changed. It changes constantly and so much that like a constitution kind of has to be like very way for it to like work for a long time. If you don't want to change it all the time, though, I suppose you could do that. But yeah, and yeah, it's quite fun. He's just up here as a king, and he's by the Norwegian castle. Quite fun picture really. And yeah, it's a very fun book. On Goodreads, it said I had read it. Like starting to read it, I had read this book before. I have no recollection of it. I did really enjoy reading it, but like I think I'm pretty sure I marked it as read, not on purpose, because yeah, because I have not read this book before. Pretty sure about that. But yeah, Very, very much enjoyed it. Highly enjoyable. Again, it's a non-fiction Norwegian book. Pretty sure it's not translated. I suppose it might be out in Swedish or Danish. Other languages, probably not. Will it be? Maybe not. But yeah, anyway, now you know what I read. It's like, you'll be like, haha, I read this book. So fun. You can't read it. It's a bit weird. But I suppose you can read it if you want to learn Norwegian. To read some books. That could be. I mean, people actually start to learn Norwegian to read Ibsen in his original language. I mean, Henrik Ibsen is a very famous playwright. He wrote The Dollhouse, Peer Gynt, etc., etc. I'll link it down below. And also, actually, um, your former president candidate, Peter Buttigieg, he actually learned Norwegian while in military because, like, he wanted to read a Norwegian author, contemporary author, in Norwegian, and that's so cool. I really enjoy it. I have seen him do an interview in Norwegian. You can hear that he hasn't really used it in a while, but like he's not bad. He's pretty good. And like for him to have learned to read it, learn Norwegian and able to read in Norwegian, he would have to at some point been very good. So yeah, that's quite impressive really. To learn a language simply to read the books, that's that's interesting. That's not every day really. Not every day. But yeah, so that's that. Then we have some books that are audiobooks. Well, also yeah. I also have one more. I don't know where that one is. It's over there. Too late to get it. I have one more physical book. I'm just gonna mention it. It's We Met in December by Rosie Curtis. It's a book set around two flatmates. They meet in December. At the beginning, he has a girlfriend. I think maybe she has a boyfriend. Not quite sure, but like timing's never right, and then they end up getting together in the end, like after a year. I liked it. I can't say I love it. I suppose kind of like I think I didn't love it slightly, or partly because they didn't get together before the end. And I read so many books lately, this last 2 years, where there's a romance and they get together like in the middle, then there's argument and they get back together and again in the end. I suppose like I think I prefer that in contrast to like where they flirt or when they talk a lot for the whole book and then they don't get together before the end. Like I want some togetherness before the book is over. So yeah, that's sad anyway for me. And yeah, another book. Sorry. Now to the audiobooks. Audiobooks. Sorry, I've been filming a lot now, so I didn't feel it in my throat. Anyway, I finished Bodies from the Library by Tony. Tony. I don't remember people's names, but yeah. Well, it's edited by. So Bodies from the Library. It's actually stories from the golden age of detective fiction. So what he's done, he's found different short stories that's either never been published or that haven't been published in a long time by Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, all those like famous authors from that time, and he puts it in an anthology. And yeah, I listened to it on audiobook. I very much enjoyed it. It was one narrator who did all of it, but he did like all the voices and everything very well. So I very much enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a good way to like listen to authors, new samples by new authors, or just listen to fun stories. And yeah, highly recommend it. It's actually first in four of the same style anthologies, so that's quite well books. So that's quite fun, really. Yeah. Then I also listened to No Cunning Plan by Tony Robinson. So Tony Robinson, he's the actor behind Baldrick in Blackadder. I love Blackadder. I know he's done other stuff. I haven't really seen him in other stuff. I think maybe I've seen him in a movie or two. But I have never seen Time Bandits. So I suppose listening to an audiobook of his life. Well, I suppose I really enjoyed his like the his childhood years was very interesting, and like his beginning in life. But like and after when and I also really enjoyed like when it talked like just getting started in acting and stuff. That was interesting. And of course I love the Baldrick stuff where he talked about that. But then there was also like I think maybe like 5, maybe 10 chapters that was like a kind of after Blackadder, and like I don't care. I didn't really care that much. It was not interesting to me. It was about time management, and like I haven't seen it, so I don't really care. No, time management, time history. Yeah, yeah, you know that show is, and it was also about him say his time as politician. And like I didn't know he was a politician, and I don't care that much, so I skipped maybe like half of it. So yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna do better research in the future. Don't do audiobooks like don't do autobiographies because you know parts of the story. Do it because you want to know the whole story, or because you're interested. Like yeah, because you know about the whole person, or because you want to know the whole person. I suppose I kind of thought that whole story was interesting. Yeah, it wasn't. I suppose biographies they kind of like hit and misses. Sometimes they're like amazing, like in every way, and sometimes like they're all that amazing. So yeah, 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 that's all the books I read in November. I'll link them down below and other stuff. And bye.